Hello, everybody. This is Jeffrey Daniel here bringing you another Vortex. For those of you who don't know, my Vortex, the VOR is the acronym for the voice of reason, and this is my text, okay? Today is the 8th of November, 2025, according to that Gregorian calendar. And you guys know I always bang on that Gregorian calendar. It's been a while since I brought you guys a Vortex because I had been, overwhelmingly busy over the past couple of months or so, bringing Shalimar here to Nigeria to perform. We performed at the International Conference Center, which is now called the Bola Ahmed Tinubu Conference Center in Abuja, in the capital city. That was on October 4th during their Independence weekend. Their Independence Day was October 1st, which was Howard Hewitt's birthday as well. Howard Hewitt and Carolyn Griffey had the time of their life. They had the best reception they've ever received in Africa and here in Nigeria. And I was just so honored, and I was just so emotionally, overwhelmed just watching my people that I grew up with in America experiencing such a traditional welcoming here in Africa. It's in our ancestral homeland. I also had the chance to go through the door of no return in Badagry, which used to be called the Slave Coast. And now they have a thing set up called the Door of Return by the Honorable Mrs. Abike. She set that up, and it's a program that she has now so that everybody can now experience that for themselves. They have their museum that shows, where the slaves, how they were stored and how they were captured and then taken away. They take you to the exact same place. You will walk the same trail that, not slaves, that the Africans, our ancestral Africans walked on as they were taken away to Brazil, the islands, Jamaica, Cuba, and over to the Americas. And then now we have the Door of Return, where they allow us to bring our ancestors back home, because our ancestors' DNA is still inside of us. When we were conceived, they were alive. When our parents were conceived, our grandparents conceived, our great-grandparents, those DNAs are still alive inside of us. So I brought my ancestors back home. It's just very ceremonial, if you think it's just symbolic or whatever, but it helps to bring closure to a lot of pain and suffering that, we knew that they endured, and they're the reasons that we're here today. So why I'm coming to you today, and I haven't composed this properly, so please excuse me if I'm being cursory or coming off the top of my head, but it would be extremely remiss of me if I did not address this, this threat that's happening from America by the President Donald Trump that's being issued to the Nigerian government, okay? Now, it would be remiss of me if I didn't address this, because here I am in Nigeria. I'm in Lagos right now. And there's so many factors to this thing. It's just not one particular issue. It's just not one thing. So to say that Christians are being exterminated in Nigeria, that he has to come and save the Christians. Christians have been murdered. Christians have been killed. Muslims have been murdered. Muslims have been killed. They've killed Muslims in the mosque while they were praying. Now, is there is there a more exponential number of Christians being killed compared to Muslims in that? I don't know. I can't say. It's not just about going to kill the Christians. Some of it has to do with some of the land that they have, where they have farms and that, and then some of the herders are coming along, and there are clashes with that. So some of it is territorial, some of it is maybe ethnic, some of it may be religious. I don't know. There are different factors. It's just not one thing happening. So I can't say that Christians are not being killed here, are targeted. But is it just Christians? Is it only Christians? Is it just a campaign that Muslims are just going out to kill Christians? That is not happening here in Lagos. That's not happening in other parts. It may be happening in some pockets but is it a whole thing happening that deserves the attention of the world? Some may say so. Yes, the killings need to stop. Of course they do. Of course they do. But is it something that should warrant the attention of the president of a country that advocates that they should have the rights to bear arms, that all citizens should bear arms? The Republicans are just, they're so stoned on, we have the right to bear arms. As a result, there's a pandemic of mass public shootings everywhere in America. People killing people in churches in America. They were Christians. People killing people in schools in America. Some of them were Christian. People killing people in shopping malls, going into offices where people work, and they're shooting people. These public mass shootings, when all you have to do is try to get rid of the guns out of the civilian population, and they won't be able to take their arms and go out and do these mass shootings. But yet the same president that advocates for citizens to have the right to bear arms is now deploying the military and the National Guard in these cities because he says they're too dangerous. That is very oxymoronic, if you ask me. How do you campaign for everyone to have the rights to have guns, then send the military in because you think now the cities are too dangerous because they have guns? And he stands for this. I am not a Trump basher, you guys. I am not here to bash the Democrats. I'm not here to bash the Republicans. I'm just standing on the truth, okay? And as I always say, some truths are uncomfortable. The truth has no obligation to be comfortable. It just has to be honest, okay? So you guys know what I stand for. I'm not a racist. I'm not here to attack any particular group of people, any individual, or any race of people. I bang on the topics. You guys know what I stand for, you know. So anyway, here I am in Nigeria, and Nigerians are very concerned about the American government bringing their military here. He's talking about coming in with gun blazing. Did he go to Gaza with guns blazing to stop the Israelis from murdering all these children, women, and families and old people who are standing in line for food, who are having their hospitals and all basic infrastructures just obliterated non-stop for 2 years? Did anybody rush in? He's not even using diplomacy with Nigeria. He's talking about, no, I've talked to my military and we're going to go over there with guns blazing. We're just going to go there and stop them from killing the Christians. Who's the them? Do they know who the thems are? You know, it's not an easy thing, you guys. So you have to really understand what's going on. Plus, there are other factors going on, such as Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, Chad. These people, they're pushing out their Western former colonizers, and they want to be autonomous. They want their countries to be run by themselves. They don't want this Western intervention anymore. I think this is a reason for them to bring American military bases in this region, because we're very close to those other countries. See, there's a lot of factors going on, you guys, that you have to be aware of. People say, oh, he just wants to come for the resources. Resources is one thing. Nigeria is a big oil producing nation with lots of other resources. There's gold here, there's diamonds, there's other minerals, and the population, because there's a lot of Nigerians that are over in America and other countries that are doing amazing things, So we really have to look at what's really going on. And don't just listen to the headlines, you guys. As I always say, question everything and think for yourselves, okay? There are other reasons for them wanting to put their bases on African soil and make their presence felt, because the Chinese have moved in. The Chinese are here. And the Chinese are making billion-dollar deals with the Nigerian government. They're doing things that the West has never done. They're treating them more equal than the West ever has. They're accomplishing more in Africa in a few years than the West has done with Africa over centuries, you see. So that's another thing. Are the Chinese being here the answer? Africa needs to stand up on its own feet. They need to come together with all the other African nations and form an alliance. It will shake the foundation of this planet because we have everything the rest of the world needs. And that's why everyone's coming here. That's why the Chinese are here. That's why the Russians want to come here. That's why the French are here. That's why the British are here. That they're all coming here to get the things that they need. They help their societies run and to keep themselves in a position of prominence. Africa has been like a supermarket for everybody. Just come and get what you want. Come and get what you want, you know? But now the African leaders want to take things into their own hands and manage it for themselves and own it for themselves. The West does not like that because they have always enjoyed this position of privilege. So there's a lot of things going on that you really have to think about and look at what's going on. Now, I want to talk about Donald Trump, President Trump. As I said, I'm not a Trump basher. I'm not here to bash him. I'm not here to insult him. I'm not here to call him names and all these other things. You know, that's childish and it achieves nothing. But I will tell you something. Donald Trump is solipsistic, and I told you guys this back in 2020. Look up the word solipsistic. He suffers from solipsism. When you're solipsistic, that means you cannot imagine anything outside of your own mind to be real or to be the reality. You only, I know better than them. I know better than that. I know what I'm doing. It's a meism. It's not narcissism. Narcissistic is one thing. This is above narcissism. Solipsistic. Look up the word solipsistic and you will see what I'm talking about. I'm surprised. After all these years, I've never heard anyone describe him that way in the media. He suffers from solipsism. Now, another thing that I said before, a couple of years ago, I said, Donald Trump, if he ever comes back to office again, he will come back with a vengeance, the way Adolf Hitler did. And sure enough, he is going by Adolf Hitler's playbook. The first thing Adolf Hitler did when he got back in power, and I want you guys to look this up because I'm not making this up. This is not conjecture. I'm not talking by sentiment. I'm talking facts, empirical facts. You guys look this up. When he was in jail, they're going to execute him, but they didn't. And they released him from jail. So they figured that Hitler would go back to Austria because that's where he's actually from, Austria. Instead, he formed the Brown Shirt Party, came back, eventually got back into the government, and then formed the Nazi Party, and the rest is his story. And we know how that all turned out. The way the Nazis went around and started shutting down all the businesses owned by the Jews, gathering them up and throwing them into concentration camps. The first thing Hitler did when he got in power and took out the chancellor was he dismantled all democratic institutions. Wait a minute. What is Trump doing? He's rolling back a lot of institutions and things that have been set in place. He went to the military base and told the military generals that no one should have your job just because of political correctness. No one should have your job just because of affirmative action. They're trying to roll back all the things that have been set in place to make all Americans a little more equal and on the same playing field. You know, the welfare system, they want to roll that back. Social Security, they want to tamper with that. There's a lot of things that the Medicare, the health system, which America has always had a horrible healthcare system compared to some other countries, compared to the UK, compared to Canada, compared to Cuba, compared to Japan. But yet they're a world-class superpower. But they have the worst healthcare system there. They want to roll back all these things. Look at what he's doing. He's going after his political, opponents. He's actually going after people. You guys know the people he's going after. It's in the news. I'm not here to report the news, but I'm here to talk about what's going on and how it affects us and how we need to have a clear vision of what's going on so we know how to prepare ourselves and get ourselves out of this thing, because it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. They're talking about him serving a third term. He wants to hold on to power. That's why he really admired Kim Jong-un of North Korea, Vladimir Putin, and Netanyahu in Israel. These guys stay in power. They stay where they are. And that's what he wants to do. If they can do it, I mean, what makes America so special that they can't do it? I warned you guys that there could be a second civil war in America. A second civil war. I was the first one to say that. It's not as far-fetched as it sounds, because in our time, it happened in Czechoslovakia. It split up to the Republic of Czech and Slovak. It happened to Korea. Korea became North and South Korea. These things happen. Why can't it happen in America? America is, immune to that? No, it can happen in America. Everything is being positioned. Americans are being more divided than they ever have since the first Civil War, when they had the Confederate against, the Confederacy against, the other part of America, So you guys look at what's going on. He's using Hitler's playbook. The way the ICE agents are now going to schools. They arrested a girl as she was graduating. She was in her cap and gown and they grabbed her. They're pulling people out of cars. They're showing up on people's jobs. They're snatching people up wherever they are. That doesn't look like Nazi Germany to you? What they were doing to the Jews? So you see, he picked a pocket of people to target and go after to show his constituencies, look, I'm doing my job. I'm going after them. That's what Hitler did. I'm not saying like he's going to exterminate people and put them in gas chambers and all that. I'm not calling him Hitler. I'm saying that he's playing by Hitler's same playbook. By dismantling democratic institutions, they help keep him in power, and they give him full control and power, and the way he's going after people. It's the same thing. One more thing that I compare him to. I compare him to King Leopold II of Belgium. Do any of you know who King Leopold II is? Okay, in the 1800s, when they had the Berlin Conference and they were dividing Africa up among themselves, among the European nations, Belgium really didn't have any part in there. So what he did, he had Morton Stanley go down there and excavate the land and look around, and he found a portion of land that was called the Congo. So King Leopold of Belgium, he acquisitioned that land known as the Congo, and he turned it into the Congo Free State. Well, what happened was, to make a long story short, because that was the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, so he wanted to get rubber plants, to get rubber, to bring back, for tires and car tires and fan belts for motors and engines and trains and all this stuff. It was the Industrial Revolution going on. King Leopold was kind of like a black sheep in his family, and he wanted to make a name for himself. He wanted to make a name for himself. So he went all out, and he told people he was going there to civilize and to make Christians out of these, uncivilized pagan Africans. They even captured a couple of African fishermen and took them back to Belgium and stood them in front of their people and say, look at these people. See, they're uncivilized, because they didn't understand their language. They didn't understand their culture. They didn't understand their spiritual system. So they weren't dressed like Europeans, because look how I'm dressed. Because this is the climate of Africa. To put on a three-piece suit and button-up shirt like that, it would be ludicrous to walk around Africa like that, because it's not conducive to this climate, you see. And people do it now because of offices and businesses and stuff like that, and I still look at them like, wow, can't there be a better way to look business-like and official than dressing like Europeans in Africa? But some people do it, some people don't. Anyway, that's another story. But the point is, because the Africans didn't present themselves like the Europeans took them as being uncivilized. Well, by the end of it, it's estimated around 15 million Congolese died because of King Leopold, to make himself look like he was a person who was capable of colonizing another nation. Trump was the black sheep of his family. Trump's mother came out and said she hoped he never gets into politics because he would be terrible. Trump's mother said this. Wouldn't a mother know her own son? Trump wants to do something. He said he was going to stop the Ukraine war in one day if he was elected. He said he would stop the Israeli-Palestinian conflict as soon as he got into office, and he didn't. They finally reached a ceasefire, and he's taking credit for it, and that ceasefire has already been broken. It's not even holding. So he wants to look like he's done something. He's capable of doing something. So I think it's an easy picking to bring the American military to come down here into Nigeria, because they definitely will overpower the Nigerian military. And to come here and look like he's saving someone, that he's saving the day, that he wants to take credit for doing something like King Leopold II did. You guys need to look up these people in history. Another thing about King Leopold II, if you guys don't know about this, what they did was they captured the people in the Congo. They put the women and children in prison and told the men to go out and bring back a certain quota of rubber plants. They had to tap the rubber trees and let the rubber sap come out or whatever, however they do it. And if they didn't meet a certain quota, they would chop off their right hand. In one day it was recorded that they chopped off about 300 right hands. Now that's kind of strange, because if I don't bring enough rubber for you, your answer is to chop off one of my hands. So if one of my hands is chopped off, can I work faster now? Will it help me do this job more expediently with one hand now? That didn't even help the situation. But that's what they did. There's another story I know that I don't want to bore you guys with the stories, because it was so horrific what they did to these people, because they didn't look at them as equal humans. And it's dangerous when people don't look at other people as human or treat them the same as they want to be treated. To go into people's businesses, people who have been living, even if they're undocumented, okay, I get that. So if they're undocumented and you want to arrest these people and either deport them or hold them until they can get their papers straight or whatever like that, I get that. But going to people's jobs who've been in communities for a long time, and the community people are vouching for them, they're stand-up members of their community, and you still put them in some maximum security prison. People don't know where they are. Their family can't contact them. Just snatching, breaking families apart and tearing people apart like that, and throwing them into prisons. Women, men, wrestling women on the ground. ICE agents wrestling women. Who are these ICE agents anyway? Are they really official people? Like, have they been sworn in like the police and all that? Have they been to academies? Are these some of these people that were in the insurrection that Trump even got out of prison, and now he's empowering them to go out and work for him? You guys, there's a lot of things going on. That's why they wear masks, so that they can't be identified. Why would the police or soldiers have to wear masks? To deal with their own citizens in their own country. There's so much going on that you guys need to look at. Getting back to Nigeria. Yes, there have been killings. We cannot deny that. People have gone into farms and they've killed farmers. They've burnt down their places. Are they targeting Christians only? Or is this, some of it is territorial dispute? Some of it is grazing, where they want to bring in their cattle, the herdsmen or whatever like that. There's a combination of things that are going on. And Trump wants to come and save the Christians when he didn't want to save the Palestinians. He couldn't save the Ukrainians. You know, they go on the news and they say, okay, we're going to do sanctions. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. I spoke to Netanyahu. We don't like the way he's doing. But did they go on ground to stop it? Did they rush over there to shut down Putin from attacking, the Ukrainians? Or did they rush over there to stop the Palestinians? And when they say they're going somewhere to bring democracy and save people, look what happened to Iraq. They said that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction that they never, ever, ever found. And they said, we're taking democracy to the people of Iraq. That place has been in an upheaval ever since. It's been destabilized ever since it was in better shape with Saddam Hussein in power. Same thing they did in Libya with Muammar Gaddafi. They said we have to go over there and liberate the people of Libya. Do you know that the people of Libya, they had free education, they had free medical, he was creating free housing, he was doing all these amazing things for his people. And they took him out of power, and now Libya is a cesspool of unrest and upheaval ever since Muammar Gaddafi was taken out of power. When America goes over there and say we're going over there for this reason, when they leave, they leave the place all shambled and destroyed. How do you say that we've stopped the war in Palestine? Israel had already reached their objective. They've already obliterated the entire place. The people are returning to rubble. The war had already been ended. They didn't just end the war. They just stopped the onslaught of missiles and the attacks against, because they're trying to kill every last surviving person. That's what they were doing. They're trying to obliterate the entire Palestinian people because they want that land for themselves. So how do you say, I stopped the war? The people had already left the country. They've already, they've bombed every hospital, every school, every TV station, radio station. Do you know how many reporters were killed during the bombing? I don't even call it a war. This is not a war. It was just a genocide. Do you know how many reporters were killed? The most reporters were killed during that. You guys look at the number, because I'm paraphrasing. I did not compose this, you guys. I'm going off the top of my head because I need to address this, because I'm here. I'm on ground in Nigeria. I'm here, you know. And some of this is being over-exaggerated in how they're presenting it. One Christian life being killed is an exaggeration. So I can't say Christians being killed is an exaggeration. No, that's not an exaggeration. How they're presenting it is an exaggeration. That's what I'm saying. How it's being presented to the world and the public. It's much more going on than just Christians being killed. There are Muslims being killed. There are just people being killed. This terrorism has to stop. Yes, it does have to stop. And if people are targeting Christians, that does have to stop. If they're targeting Muslims, that has to stop. All killings have to stop. We shouldn't be selective in who we want to save and what needs to stop. No, it all has to stop. I don't condone any of it. You know, so we really need to watch what's going on. I'm sorry that these news outlets are controlled by certain companies that want you to hear what they want you to hear. So look at the news, get the information, then also go online and see what's happening. Listen to what Nigerians are saying. Listen to what other people are saying. Don't listen to just one source. Listen to multiple sources, and then you can evaluate and weigh in what's really going on, you know. So let's see how this is going to turn out, because he's talking to his generals and people, and they're preparing to come in with guns blazing, maybe bring some ships off the coast of Nigeria and to send missiles over or whatever. I don't know how this is going to work out, but it's going to be very ugly. It's going to be very ugly. Do we need America to intervene? I think Nigeria needs to stand up and address their own problems. I think Africa needs to stand up and address their own problems. I think if that's such a problem of these killings, we can get our brother nations to stand shoulder with us and help out in something like that, and help stop the terrorism. One more thing I got to tell you guys, and this is what you have to understand: overstand and understand. Some of these terrorist groups are created by the CIA and the Israeli Mossad. When I first came here, since I've been staying off and on in 2010, there's no terrorism in Africa. It started when Goodluck Jonathan came into office. There was a first terrorist attack in the Eagle Square somewhere, and it was unheard of. Terrorism has always been this, Middle Eastern Arab thing or something like that, suicide bombing and all that stuff. That never happened here before. Suddenly it started happening. There are outside forces here, you guys. It's not just the Nigerians doing this to each other. When they had this attack on the train that was going from, I think, Kaduna to Abuja, whatever, some survivors on that train attack said they heard these people speaking and they weren't speaking any Nigerian languages. They weren't speaking Hausa. They weren't speaking Fulani. They weren't speaking this. They were foreign mercenaries. And that's what they do. Let me tell you guys what the job of the CIA is. You guys think the CIA is there to protect the American government. That's what you say. Just like the Israeli Mossad. Just like the, what is it in the UK, the M16 or whatever they call it. The CIA's job is to destabilize any country that doesn't move in confluence with American ideology or with Americans' agenda. That's what they do. That's what they do. They come in, they infiltrate, and when things aren't going the way America wants, they cause wars, they cause coups, they cause assassinations, and they help set up terrorist organizations to help them battle. This is what's going on, you guys. So what they do is create a problem, then coming in looking like we're coming to fix that problem. But they create the problem. Same thing in America. Take the guns out of the civilian population and you won't have mass public shootings. Why would you bring in the National Guard and the military to solve a problem that you can solve just by removing the guns? Easy. I won't say people won't kill people, but it won't be so easy to do these mass shootings with these automatic, military grade weapons that should never even be in the civilian population in the first place. They're not in the civilian population here. They're not in the civilian population in Europe, in the UK, in Japan, in China. Why should America and Americans, American citizens, hold military-grade automatic weapons? For what reason? You're not going to go shooting. You're not going to go deer hunting. There wouldn't be much left of the meat if you blew it up with these kind of guns and weapons. So I understand people can do hunting. Okay, a hunting gun, a hunting rifle, this and that, but those weapons should not even be in the civilian population. My daughter even owns a gun. My oldest daughter, she even has a gun at home because she wants protection because everyone has one, So you guys, there's a lot more than what you're hearing and what you're getting. And excuse me, I'm going off the top of my head, so if I'm, pausing and spacing here and there as I'm gathering my thoughts, because I have to address this because things are happening so exponentially now. They're going so, precipitously. So I have to address it because if I don't address this now, something's going to happen tomorrow that I should address now because things are moving every day, daily. This thing is speeding up. It's speeding up as we go, so I have to address this right now. So I'm just coming from the heart. I'm coming off the top of my head. I'm here in Nigeria. I'm listening to what's happening, what's being said from the Trump administration. I'm listening what's saying here in the President Tinubu's administration. I'm listening to what Nigerians are saying. I'm listening to what other African countries are saying. I'm listening to what other countries around the world are watching and seeing that's happening. Why would Trump, if these killings have been going on for years, why suddenly have an epiphany? Oh, I got to go over there and save the Christians in Nigeria. Why not save the Christians in your own country first? If you can't save your own country, how are you going to come over here and save other people? For what reason? Stop the public mass shootings in your own country. Save your own country. Stop the division, the political division, the name calling and the disrespect of your political opponents. Yes, you can have opposing parties. That's normal. But to totally disrespect each other and to go after them. He wants to go after them because he was convicted of felonies, because he was impeached. He was disgraced while he was in office. That's why I knew he would come back with a vengeance. And that's exactly what he's doing. That's exactly what he's doing. Look at what's happening, you guys. There's other things I want to talk about, but I really want to get those data, information, and thoughts together and present it to you more, more uniformly, I should say. I haven't been on here in a while because I've been, dealing with a lot of things, you guys, So, but I had to address this issue, you guys. So there's more to it than just coming to save the Christians. Trump wants to look like he's Superman or something, like a Marvel superhero, and coming to save the day. He thought he was going to do it with Ukraine. It still hasn't been resolved as of today. He thought he was going to do it with the Israeli and the Gaza conflict. It's still ongoing, even after returning the hostages and the dead bodies and all that. And now they're having an official ceasefire and end of the war. It's falling apart as we speak. So he wants to look like he's completed some kind of a mission to help save somebody. The way King Leopold II wanted to look like, I'm capable of colonizing a country. I'm capable of making them civilized and taking Christianity to these people. Guess what? He never even visited the Congo himself. King Leopold II never even once visited the place himself, but yet he took over that country. This is some strange Jack Mac-a-crack-a-lack going on around here, you guys. And I'm saying that to save myself from using profane language, because I prefer a profane adjective to use, but I'd rather not do it because I want this to be, I want everybody to be able to listen to this, and I don't want this taken down, and I don't want to come out of my character. But you got to look at what's really going on. You really have to look at what's going on. So I'm going to get off of this, you guys. I just had to speak my piece and to help you guys see holistically what's really going on. It's not just a one facet issue like, going to save the Christians. That's part of it. Yes, that's part of it. If Christians are being slaughtered or anything like that, yes, there should be intervention. It should be stopped. If it's any ethnic group, any religious group, anyone, yes, I don't condone that at all, and it should be stopped. Trump bringing the military over here to just start opening weapons and start firing and killing people, a lot of innocent lives will be lost. Another thing, China says now they're concerned because China has a lot of interest here, which America knows. Will a proxy war be fought on African soil between China and America while Africans will die and suffer? Even if America comes over here and starts a war up in the north against who they call the terrorists or whatever, a lot of food comes from the north, and they know that. So a lot of produce and stuff will not be able to move during that time. I think flights will be shut down. I think they will bring this country pretty much close to a standstill if that type of a war breaks out, and they know this. While they know that Nigeria is now at the precipice of becoming one of the biggest economies. They don't want that to happen. They want to stop it. They see there's things being done to revive the Nigerian economy. And they see that we have the potential of standing up and being great, as does Burkina Faso, as does Mali, as does Nigeria, as does Chad. And that threatens them. That threatens their position of privilege, to see us do good, to see us stand on our own feet, to see us come together. That threatens them. It shakes the seat of the foundation of their seat of privilege and control and ownership. So it's not going to just be Trump coming here. China might get involved to protect their interests. They've spent billions of dollars here on a lot of, infrastructural things, railroads and mining and this and that and that and that. If America comes over here and starts destroying things, China might get involved. And that's going to be very ugly. Who's going to suffer? The Africans. That's why I'm warning some of you Nigerians who are welcoming Trump and his people to come here. Be careful what you wish for. It's not just as cut and dry as you think it is. Be careful. Now, I know some people might tell me, you shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm sticking to the facts. I'm not using conjecture. I'm not using sentiment. Look at what's going on. I use my perspicacity to guide me. And 99.9% of the time, I'm correct. Not meaning like, oh, because I know better. No, because I'm looking at what's going on. And I can clearly see what it's culminating into. I'm not just listening to this. I'm not just looking at that. I'm looking at everything. And that's what you have to do. So anyway, let me get off of here. I wasn't even prepared for this and that, but it's not now when, because I'll be busy tomorrow, the next day, and the next day. So I had to stop and just address this issue about President Trump sending troops over to Nigeria with guns blazing to come and save the Christians when he didn't save the Palestinians. He didn't save the Ukrainians. The biggest mass displacements of human on the planet is happening in the Sudan. Okay? It's in Sudan. The biggest displacements of humans on the planet. There's over 9 million something. I forgot the figure. But the biggest displacements of human is in Sudan. It's been going on for years. Why didn't somebody go over there and save them and stop that? If you want to save something. Why not stop the public mass shootings in your own country and the killings in your own country before you want to go to the other side of the planet to save people from themselves? Yes, the killings have to stop, and they must be stopped. If you would like to assist Nigeria, if you would like to help Nigerians solve their problem, but just who makes you the police of the world where you can just get up and say, regardless of what that country's leader thinks, or that I'm going over there to do that to them because I want to do it, rather than sit with the guy and use diplomacy, strategies, and work out a way how we can solve this problem together. But you want to take it into your own hands? Like you're the god of the world? Like Africa doesn't matter to you? Africans don't matter to you because you're the American president? I love you all. As I always say, spread the love, make love great again. If we make love great again, we will all be great. Wouldn't even be going through this. Wouldn't be having these problems if we make love great again. Make love great again. And Shalimar, Howard, Carolyn, and myself, we always say spread the love. That's our motto when we do our concerts. We had a great time here in Nigeria. Just October 4th, Shalimar performed in Abuja, and it was the most amazing show we've had. It was an amazing reception. Our band members, our background singers, Craig even came in from London, from the UK. Well, he came via Thailand, and they just were so welcomed. They felt so loved and so welcome. And now we're hearing about this. I am an American citizen. I was born and raised in America, and I'm a resident of Nigeria. So I have concerns on both sides. So I'm not here to bash anyone or any side, but I'm looking at what's going on, and we have to be honest. And if we're honest, this is my assessment. Okay? Take care, you guys. I love you all. I love you all. Take care. Bye-bye.